When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chödrön. When Things Fall Apart addresses the universal experience of suffering and uncertainty, offering a radical approach to navigating life's challenges. Pema Chödrön argues that instead of avoiding pain, we should lean into it, using difficult emotions as opportunities for growth and awakening. The book provides practical wisdom rooted in Buddhist teachings, guiding readers to cultivate compassion, courage, and unconditional acceptance for themselves and others, ultimately transforming adversity into a path of profound personal transformation. It teaches us to embrace impermanence and find stability within the inherent instability of existence. Now let's go through some pairs of questions and answers to understand the core ideas of the book. First, why is embracing uncertainty essential for well-being? Embracing uncertainty allows us to stop resisting life's unpredictable flow. By letting go of control, we open ourselves to peace, resilience, and unexpected growth, transforming fear into freedom and fostering adaptability. The book emphasizes that life is fundamentally impermanent and unpredictable. Our attempts to create absolute security often lead to more suffering when things inevitably change. Chödrön suggest that true peace comes from acknowledging and even befriending this groundlessness, rather than constantly fighting against it. For example, instead of panicking when plans fall apart, we can view it as an opportunity to practice adaptability and trust in our capacity to navigate the unknown. Second, why should we lean into our pain instead of avoiding it? Leaning into discomfort directly rather than escaping is crucial. Avoidance only prolongs suffering, preventing genuine healing and insight. Meeting pain head-on fosters courage, builds resilience, and allows for authentic transformation. Chödrön challenges the common human tendency to shy away from painful emotions and situations. She argues that these sharp edges are precisely where our greatest lessons and transformations lie. By staying present with anger, fear, or grief without judgment or narrative, we can witness their impermanence and lessen their grip. A practical application is to simply sit with a difficult feeling for a few minutes, observing its physical sensations without trying to fix or rationalize it. Third, why is Tonglen practice a powerful tool for compassion? Tonglen is a meditation where we breathe in suffering and breathe out relief and joy. It transforms self-centeredness into profound compassion and courage, directly engaging with pain to cultivate an open heart for all beings. Tonglen reverses the usual pattern of wanting to push away pain and cling to pleasure. It's a radical practice that helps us break down the barriers between ourselves and others by recognizing shared suffering. Chödrön explains that by consciously taking in the pain of the world, we purify our own minds and develop boundless compassion. For instance, when feeling personal distress, one can imagine breathing in that specific feeling from others who also experience it, and breathing out comfort to them. Fourth, why is developing compassion for ourselves as crucial as for others? True compassion starts within. We cannot genuinely offer what we lack. By extending kindness to our own struggles and imperfections, we build capacity to empathize deeply, connecting authentically with others' suffering. Chödrön emphasizes that self-compassion is not self-indulgence, but a fundamental step towards genuine connection. When we harshly judge ourselves, we project that same judgment onto others. Cultivating a gentle, accepting attitude towards our own flaws and difficulties creates a reservoir of empathy that can then naturally flow outwards. An example is treating your inner critic with the same gentle understanding you would offer a struggling friend. Fifth, why is staying with the discomfort a core practice? Staying with discomfort means resisting the urge to flee or numb pain. This practice builds resilience, awareness, and allows emotions to be processed, breaking old reactive patterns and fostering a deeper, authentic relationship with reality. Our habitual response to discomfort is often to distract, blame, or try to escape it. Chödrön teaches that these reactions keep us trapped in cycles of suffering. By consciously choosing to stay with the raw sensation of an emotion, like anxiety or irritation, Without adding stories or judgments, we create space for it to naturally dissipate or transform. This might involve simply noticing the physical sensations in the body without labeling them. Sixth, why is our pursuit of absolute security a myth? The belief in permanent security is an illusion, as life is inherently impermanent. Clinging to this myth creates anxiety when circumstances shift, preventing full engagement with the present. True security lies in our inner capacity to adapt. Chödrön argues that much of our suffering comes from our deep-seated desire for things to be stable, predictable, and safe. However, the nature of existence is dynamic and ever-changing. The book encourages us to recognize that true security doesn't come from external circumstances, but from our inner capacity to adapt and remain open amidst flux. For example, trusting our ability to handle whatever comes, rather than trying to control every outcome. Seventh, why is awakening our heart, or bodhicitta, central to spiritual growth? Bodhicitta is the aspiration to awaken for all beings. It shifts focus from self-preoccupation to boundless compassion, transforming personal suffering into a catalyst for universal liberation and connecting us to innate kindness. Bodhicitta is often described as the awakened heart or enlightened mind. It's not just a philosophical concept, but a deep, felt aspiration to alleviate suffering for everyone, including ourselves. Chödrön teaches that cultivating bodhicitta helps us move beyond self-centeredness, which is a primary source of pain. It's about opening our hearts to the world, recognizing our interconnectedness, and acting from a place of genuine care. An example is consciously wishing well for a stranger you encounter. Eighth, why is non-aggression a foundational principle? Non-aggression means refraining from hostility towards ourselves and others, internally and externally. It's about meeting the world with gentleness and acceptance, breaking reactive cycles, and fostering a peaceful, open presence amidst challenges. Chödrön emphasizes that aggression isn't just outward hostility, but also includes our internal criticisms, self-judgment, and resistance to reality. Non-aggression begins with making peace with ourselves and our immediate experience. Instead of fighting against what is, we practice a gentle acceptance. For instance, when a difficult thought arises, instead of pushing it away, simply acknowledge its presence without judgment, like observing a cloud passing by. Ninth, why is working with fear more effective than fighting it? Fear is natural, but resisting amplifies its power. By acknowledging fear, staying present with sensations, and seeing it as a messenger, we diminish its grip, moving through it with greater wisdom and courage. Chödrön encourages us to approach fear with curiosity rather than aversion. Instead of letting fear paralyze us or dictate our actions, we can learn to observe its physical manifestations and mental narratives without getting entangled. This involves recognizing that fear is often a projection of future uncertainties. For example, when feeling anxious, one can ask, "What is this sensation in my body?" rather than, "What terrible thing is going to happen?" 10th, why embrace groundlessness instead of seeking solid ground? Groundlessness refers to life's inherent lack of fixed stability. Embracing it means accepting nothing as permanent or fully controllable. This liberates us from pursuing false security, allowing us to find inner stability amidst constant change. This concept is central to Chödrön's teachings. She explains that our desire for a solid, unchanging ground in relationships, career, health, etc., is ultimately futile and a source of suffering. True freedom comes from realizing and accepting that there is no solid ground and learning to navigate life's inherent fluidity. A practical application is to notice moments when you feel disoriented or uncertain, and instead of panicking, simply allow that feeling to be present without needing to immediately find a solution. 11th, why is renunciation not about deprivation, but liberation? Renunciation means letting go of habitual grasping and aversion that cause suffering. It's not about giving up external things, but releasing attachment to outcomes, expectations, and fixed ideas, opening us to true freedom and peace. Chödrön clarifies that renunciation isn't about asceticism or denying ourselves pleasure, but about letting go of the mental habits that bind us. This includes renouncing the urge to always be right, the need for approval, or the addiction to comfort. By releasing these attachments, we create space for new possibilities and reduce our vulnerability to external circumstances. An example is practicing non-reactivity to a frustrating situation, choosing to let go of the need for it to be different. 12th, why is cultivating a beginner's mind beneficial? Beginner's mind means approaching every situation with openness, curiosity, and no preconceptions, seeing it for the first time. This prevents stagnation, encourages continuous learning, and allows us to perceive fresh possibilities beyond ingrained habits and judgments. Our minds often operate on autopilot, filtering new experiences through old assumptions and judgments. Chödrön suggests that by adopting a beginner's mind, we can break free from these limiting patterns. This means being present and receptive without the need to label, categorize, or know everything. For example, when engaging in a routine task, try to notice details and sensations as if it were entirely new, fostering fresh appreciation. 13th, why is patience a radical act in a fast-paced world? Patience is not just waiting, but profound acceptance of the present, even when difficult. It cultivates inner calm, prevents impulsive reactions, and allows natural unfolding, fostering wisdom and resilience amidst uncertainty. Chödrön highlights that true patience involves staying with discomfort and uncertainty without immediately seeking a resolution or escape. It's about cultivating a spaciousness within ourselves to allow things to unfold in their own time. This practice counters our habitual impatience, which often leads to rash decisions and increased stress. For example, when feeling frustrated by a slow process, consciously take a deep breath and acknowledge the feeling without needing to fix it instantly. 14th, why is trusting our basic goodness essential, especially when things fall apart? All beings possess fundamental goodness and wisdom, despite flaws. Trusting this inherent purity, even amidst chaos or personal failings, provides an unshakable foundation for compassion and resilience, preventing self-condemnation. This concept is a cornerstone of Chödrön's teachings. She asserts that underneath all our neuroses and confusion, there is an inherent, unblemished wisdom and compassion. When we remember this basic goodness, it prevents us from becoming overwhelmed by self-criticism or despair, especially during difficult times. It's about recognizing that our mistakes don't define our core being. For instance, even after a significant error, we can acknowledge the mistake without condemning our entire self. 15th, why are the 3 commitments, no harm, help others, realize enlightenment, crucial for a compassionate life? They guide us to live ethically, cultivating non-aggression, actively working for others' welfare, and striving for deeper wisdom. This framework transforms personal challenges into opportunities for universal benefit. These 3 commitments are a foundational framework in Chödrön's work, derived from Buddhist ethics. No harm means abstaining from actions that cause suffering to ourselves or others. Help others involves actively engaging in compassionate action. Realize enlightenment is the aspiration to fully awaken for the benefit of all. These aren't rigid rules, but guiding principles that inform our choices and intentions, helping us align with bodhicitta. For example, before speaking, one might pause to consider if the words align with no harm. 16th, why is cultivating the spirit of a spiritual warrior essential? A spiritual warrior confronts suffering with courage, compassion, and a clear mind, not aggression. This path involves facing challenges head-on, transforming fear into wisdom and gentleness, fostering inner strength and resilience. Chödrön redefines warrior not as someone who conquers enemies, but as someone who has the courage to face their own inner demons and the discomfort of reality. This involves a profound commitment to non-aggression and a willingness to stay present with what is, however painful. It's about developing an unwavering heart that is both tender and resilient. An example is choosing to respond to criticism with openness and curiosity rather than defensiveness. 17th, why is befriending ourselves a prerequisite for genuine happiness? Befriending ourselves means cultivating unconditional acceptance and kindness towards all parts of our being, especially flaws. This practice dismantles self-criticism, fosters inner peace, and creates a stable foundation for genuine connection with others. Chödrön emphasizes that much of our suffering comes from our internal battle with ourselves, our self-judgment, shame, and desire to be different. Befriending ourselves is about extending the same compassion and understanding we would offer a dear friend to our own inner experience. It involves acknowledging our imperfections with gentleness. For example, instead of berating yourself for a mistake, try saying, "It's okay, I'm learning," with a kind inner voice. 18th, why is it vital not to run away from difficult feelings? Running from feelings only postpones and intensifies suffering, creating an avoidance cycle. By staying present with uncomfortable emotions, we allow them to arise, be felt, and naturally pass, fostering emotional intelligence, resilience, and true inner freedom. Our instinct is often to escape or suppress painful emotions. Chödrön teaches that this creates a second arrow of suffering, where our resistance to the feeling causes more pain than the feeling itself. The practice is to simply acknowledge the feeling, name it if possible, and feel its raw sensations without judgment or storytelling. This allows the energy of the emotion to move through us. For example, when anger arises, instead of lashing out or suppressing it, simply notice the heat or tension in your body. 19th, why are openness and vulnerability crucial for growth? Openness means being receptive to all experiences without closing off. Vulnerability is willingness to be seen authentically. Together, they foster genuine connection, courage, and allow us to learn and heal from life's challenges, promoting deep personal development. Chödrön emphasizes that true strength comes not from invulnerability, but from a willingness to be open and exposed. When we close ourselves off to protect from pain, we also close ourselves off to joy, connection, and growth. Practicing openness means dropping our defenses and meeting life as it is. For example, instead of rigidly holding on to an opinion, be open to hearing another perspective, even if it challenges your own. 20th, why does true liberation come from embracing impermanence and suffering? True liberation isn't escaping pain, but radically accepting life's inherent impermanence and groundlessness. By doing so, we free ourselves from struggling against reality, finding profound peace and freedom within the ongoing flux of existence. Chödrön teaches that our deepest longing for liberation is often misdirected towards seeking external fixes or permanent states of happiness. However, true freedom arises from recognizing and befriending the fundamental truth that everything changes and nothing is truly solid. This acceptance allows us to stop fighting reality and instead flow with it, finding an inner spaciousness that is untouched by external circumstances. It's about realizing that the absence of suffering is not the goal, but rather the ability to be present with whatever arises. Action plan. Next steps. Practice 5 minutes of stillness. Set a timer for 5 minutes each day to simply sit and observe your breath and any sensations or thoughts that arise without judgment or trying to change them. Identify your avoidance habit. Become aware of one specific way you habitually avoid discomfort, e.g., scrolling phone, overeating, excessive planning, and consciously choose a different response at least once this week. Offer self-compassion. When you notice self-criticism, pause and place a hand over your heart, offering yourself a kind phrase like, "This is a moment of suffering, and I'm here for myself." Engage in a mini tonglen. When you experience a difficult emotion, gently breathe it in, acknowledging that others feel this too, and breathe out a wish for relief for yourself and all who suffer similarly. Embrace a small uncertainty. Choose one minor area in your day where you typically seek control, e.g., planning every detail of an outing, and consciously allow for some spontaneity or unpredictability.
That's all for today's book. How do you think? Do you have any feedback or your own ideas popping up in your mind? Please feel free to let us know by leaving a comment in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get updates on new book summaries from us. Thanks and have a good day.